On February 22, Iran's foreign minister announced that Tehran was ready for new negotiations provided sanctions were eased. US envoy Steve Witkoff told reporters on February 23 that President Trump was curious why Iran hadn't capitulated, noting that he expected them to negotiate given the massive American military presence. Myth 1. The president can order war on a whim. One of the most persistent misconceptions about this crisis is the belief that the US president can simply decide to go to war whenever he wants. In truth, the US Constitution grants Congress, not the president, the authority to declare war. The president, as commander-in-chief, may respond to immediate threats, but he cannot sustain military operations without legislative backing. Legal scholar David Janofsky points out that there is no existing congressional authorization for the use of force against Iran. The War Powers Resolution, passed after the Vietnam War, requires the president to notify Congress when deploying armed forces and limits such deployments to 60 days unless Congress approves an extension. This framework explains why, in February 2026, Senators Tim Kaine and Rand Paul introduced a resolution to block Trump from attacking Iran without explicit authorization. Though similar resolutions have failed in the past, the threat of legal action creates caution among military planners and the White House counsel's office. Myth 2. The US is primed for a quick victory. Another myth holds that the United States possesses enough military assets in the region to swiftly neutralize Iran's capabilities. While the naval buildup is impressive, experts at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, highlight significant limitations. The force lacks ground troops, special operations forces, and logistics to sustain a prolonged campaign. Early in February, only one carrier strike group was on station. Additional carriers took weeks to arrive. Moreover, key regional partners, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, were reluctant to allow the US to use their bases for offensive operations. This diplomatic hesitation reflects a broader concern among Gulf monarchies. War could invite devastating Iranian retaliation. Iran's own arsenal further complicates the picture. Tehran fields missiles and armed drones capable of striking US bases in the Gulf, and it maintains swarms of fast attack boats and naval mines that could disrupt commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. In other words, even if the US can inflict serious damage, Iran retains the ability to retaliate in ways that endanger US forces, regional allies, and global oil supplies. Myth 3. A limited strike will coerce Tehran. A popular view in Washington is that a surgical or limited strike targeting key nuclear facilities or missile sites would pressure Iran to accept a new deal. However, analysts like Trita Parsi warn that such an attack would almost certainly invite an escalatory response. Tehran has publicly declared that any US strike, no matter how restrained, would be treated as an act of aggression. Iran would likely launch missiles at US bases and attempt to disrupt shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, inflicting pain on the global economy. Historical case studies show that air power alone rarely coerces resilient regimes into surrender. A responsible statecraft analysis notes that Iran's leadership endured 8 years of war with Iraq and decades of sanctions. It has a high tolerance for casualties and can rebuild damaged facilities. Far from compelling capitulation, bombing campaigns often stiffen national resolve, rallying citizens around their government. Fact 1. Fear of a long attritional conflict. If the legal and logistical realities make a quick strike difficult, the prospect of a long war is even more sobering. Iran's doctrine emphasizes attrition, using a mix of missiles, drones, cyber attacks, and proxy militias to draw adversaries into a protracted struggle. A February 2026 analysis explains that Iran's arsenal is designed to outlast American interceptor missiles, gradually depleting US stockpiles and overwhelming defenses. In plain terms, Iran does not need to win outright. It only needs to make the cost of conflict unbearable. Iranian nuclear sites are dispersed and hardened, making them difficult to eliminate in a short campaign. There is also the issue of American public opinion. After 2 decades of conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, appetite for another Middle Eastern war is low. Polls conducted in early 2026 show that roughly 70% of Americans oppose a military confrontation with Iran. Political scientists note that public support may initially rally around a commander-in-chief at the start of hostilities, but such support quickly erodes if the war drags on and casualties mount. Trump, always attuned to his base, knows that a drawn-out conflict could jeopardize his domestic agenda and re-election prospects. Fact 2. Risk to troops and regional bases. Approximately 35,000 to 40,000 US military personnel are deployed across the Middle East, in Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Syria. Any strike on Iran would expose them to immediate danger. General Dan Kane and other top advisors have warned the president that Iranian retaliation could result in significant casualties. Former Pentagon official Mick Mulroy told reporters that while the US is preparing for sustained operations, the potential for catastrophic losses cannot be ignored. Iran's proxies, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Popular Mobilization Units in Iraq, and the Houthis in Yemen, could also attack US forces and allies, creating multiple fronts. Fact 3. Regional allies and partners resist war. Another critical factor restraining the US is the opposition from regional allies. Gulf monarchies, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, and Bahrain host vital American bases and depend on US security guarantees. Yet they are keenly aware of the devastation a war with Iran could bring. A responsible statecraft report notes that these states fear Iranian missile strikes on their oil facilities and cities, as well as the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which would devastate their economies. As a result, Gulf leaders are lobbying Washington to avoid war. Chatham House analysts explain that many Arab governments now view the collapse of Iran as more dangerous than its current regime. They fear that fragmentation would empower extremist militias and spark refugee crises. Countries like Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt have therefore taken on mediation roles, shuttling between Washington and Tehran to encourage negotiations. Without the active support of these regional partners, including basing rights and airspace access, the US would struggle to sustain a large-scale campaign. Fact 4. Economic consequences. War between the US and Iran would have dire consequences for the global economy. Nearly one-fifth of the world's oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz. When rumors of imminent war surged in February 2026, Brent crude prices jumped 7%. Analysts warned that even a brief closure of the strait could send oil prices well above $100 per barrel, triggering a global recession. While the United States is now a net exporter of oil, American consumers would still face higher fuel prices, and the economic ripple effects could undercut job growth and stock markets. President Trump has staked his legacy on economic success. Instigating a conflict that crashes the markets would be politically risky. The economic stakes go beyond energy. The Persian Gulf is also a major shipping lane for goods traveling between Europe and Asia. Disruption could raise shipping costs, delay deliveries, and strain supply chains already weakened by global geopolitical tensions. Insurance premiums for ships and cargo would surge. By some estimates, a prolonged disruption could shave a full percentage point of global GDP growth. Fact 5. Diplomacy and the possibility of negotiations. Despite the intense saber rattling, diplomatic channels remain open. Iran has indicated that it is willing to return to talks if the US lifts some sanctions and recognizes Iran's right to peaceful nuclear technology. American officials, including Secretary of State Pam Bondi, have reiterated that the goal is to negotiate a better deal rather than to fight a war. The Atlantic Council's analysts caution that without clear objectives, whether the US seeks nuclear leverage, regime change, or merely symbolic strikes, military action makes little sense. A limited attack could backfire by hardening Iranian resistance and poisoning any chance of a negotiated settlement. Recent diplomacy has involved multiple actors. Oman, Switzerland, and Qatar have hosted secret talks. European signatories to the 2015 nuclear deal, including France, Germany, and Britain, have urged restraint and offered to mediate. Russia and China publicly oppose US military action and support Iran's right to civilian nuclear technology. The involvement of these outside powers means any attack on Iran could have broader geopolitical ramifications. Fact 6. Domestic politics and public opinion. Domestic considerations weigh heavily on any president contemplating war. Americans remember the protracted conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, the trillions spent and the thousands of lives lost. Polls taken in early 2026 show that about 70% of Americans oppose a war with Iran. Even among Republicans, support for unilateral action is tepid. In surveys conducted after the June 2025 Operation Midnight Hammer, only 58% of Republicans wanted congressional authorization before further military action. These numbers signal that Trump would face strong political headwinds. Moreover, war tends to unify the public around the president in the short term, but can quickly turn politically toxic if it drags on without clear success. Political scientist Elizabeth Saunders notes that public support for intervention often collapses when casualties mount or the goals become unclear. Trump, an astute politician, is unlikely to gamble his 2028 election bid on a war that could become a quagmire. Fact 7. Internal White House dynamics and legal advisors. Historically, presidents have been restrained by internal voices, cabinet members, top generals, and legal advisors who counsel caution. During Trump's first term, for example, Defense Secretary James Mattis reportedly persuaded him not to strike North Korea. By 2026, however, many of Trump's cabinet positions are filled by loyalists. Critics argue that there are few voices to say no. Nevertheless, institutions still matter. The Joint Chiefs of Staff and the National Security Council's legal team are committed to the Constitution. If Congress passes a war powers resolution explicitly forbidding war, it signals to Pentagon lawyers that any attack would be illegal. Such a legal judgment would make it difficult for top military officers to comply with an order to strike. Fact 8. International law and United Nations constraints. Under the United Nations Charter, countries may use force only in self-defense or with Security Council authorization. Legal experts note that there has been no Iranian attack on the United States that would justify invoking self-defense. Thus, a unilateral US strike could violate Article 2.4 of the Charter, which prohibits the threat or use of force. Violating international law could trigger diplomatic blowback, sanctions, and potentially cases in international courts. The UN Security Council remains divided. Russia and China, both permanent members, would almost certainly veto any resolution authorizing force. European allies, though alarmed by Iran's nuclear ambitions, do not support war. Even Israel and Saudi Arabia, traditional Iran hawks, have publicly called for caution, fearing the unpredictable consequences of a full-scale conflict. Washington cannot afford to alienate its allies or undermine the rules-based international order it claims to uphold. Iran's strategy, deterrence and asymmetry. To fully appreciate why war has not erupted, we need to understand Iran's deterrence strategy. Tehran has invested heavily in capabilities that complicate US planning. A large arsenal of ballistic and cruise missiles can hit US bases in the Gulf and targets as far away as Israel and Saudi Arabia. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps operates swarms of fast attack boats and naval mines that could disrupt maritime traffic and drive up oil prices. Iran's network of proxies, Hezbollah, Popular Mobilization Units in Iraq, and the Houthis in Yemen, provides plausible deniability while enabling strikes on US interests. Cyber capabilities add another dimension, allowing attacks on oil facilities, financial networks, and infrastructure. Above all, Iran's leaders embrace a long war doctrine, signaling their willingness to fight a protracted conflict and betting that American public and political support will wane. These diverse tools mean any US strike could unleash retaliatory actions across multiple domains: land, sea, air, and cyberspace. A hypothetical war scenario. If diplomacy fails and Trump orders an attack, military analysts foresee a complex escalation ladder. US cruise missiles and stealth jets would likely strike nuclear facilities, missile launchers, and command centers, degrading but not eliminating Iran's capabilities. Tehran would almost certainly retaliate with volleys of ballistic and cruise missiles at US bases in Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. Its proxies might fire rockets into Israel, attack shipping in the Red Sea, or target US forces in Iraq. Cyber attacks could disrupt energy infrastructure and financial networks, causing casualties and economic shock. Washington would then face a choice: press on with a broader bombing campaign or pause and negotiate. As the conflict drags on, spillover into Iraq, Lebanon, and the wider region becomes more likely, and oil prices could skyrocket. Even if the US achieves initial tactical success, escalation dynamics could rapidly spiral out of control. Paths to peace and de-escalation. Amidst the saber rattling, there are still avenues for de-escalation. Analysts propose phased sanctions relief tied to verifiable limits on uranium enrichment, regional security dialogues involving the Gulf states, Iran, the US, and Europe, and humanitarian gestures such as prisoner exchanges and protected trade channels. Establishing hotlines between military commands could prevent dangerous misunderstandings in the Gulf. Third-party mediators like Oman, Switzerland, and Qatar stand ready to host talks. None of these steps are easy, but they show that diplomacy remains a viable alternative to war if the political will exists. The standoff between the United States and Iran in early 2026 has brought the world close to another Middle Eastern conflict. Yet, despite assembling a massive naval armada and issuing ultimatums, President Trump has not ordered a strike. A careful look at the facts explains why. Legal constraints limit presidential war making, and Congress has not authorized force. The US military lacks ground troops and regional backing for a prolonged campaign. A limited strike could provoke wider war. Fears of a long conflict, risks to US troops, economic turmoil, and opposition from regional allies all counsel caution. Public opinion leans against war, diplomacy continues, and legal advisors and international law provide further constraints. In sum, the reason the US has not attacked Iran is not weakness, but a calculated recognition of the immense risks involved. Recognizing these constraints helps separate fact from fiction and underscores the value of diplomacy. Beyond the headlines and political calculus lies a stark human reality. War would put thousands of lives at risk, destabilize economies, and sow chaos across a region already marred by conflict. Understanding this helps us appreciate why restraint is, at times, a hallmark of strength. As watchers of world affairs, we should remain vigilant yet hopeful that negotiation, not war, will prevail.